Hello and welcome to our Veganuary series to help you and your vegan family this Veganuary. And today we're going to be talking about getting your vegan kids on board with your vegan journey. So this is really for, this video is for people who a vegan parent that wants to go vegan, and maybe the rest of the family aren't quite there yet. But maybe you've decided that you want a vegan diet for your child. You think it's going to be healthiest and best for them. And maybe they're not quite on board yet. And this really does depend on the age of your child. When my children went vegan, they were quite a lot younger. And I can imagine that there are different challenges as the child gets older, particularly if you are maybe with teenagers, or children who are much more kind of older, that have got more aware and have been eating a meat diet their whole life. This can be a lot more challenging than maybe someone who's 2, 3, 4 years old, and maybe not quite as aware as somebody older as to what they're actually eating. So I'm going to go through what actually I did with my kids. So when I first went vegan, I was the first person in my family to go vegan, and then my husband followed, and then our kids followed. And what we did was, we didn't at first say to our children, you must be vegan, or anything like that. We actually at home, once we'd gone vegan and we weren't cooking non-vegan food anymore, we obviously just served up vegan food. And then outside the home, we kind of gave our children the choice at first. And my daughter was offered some chocolates at Christmas time. And she said, "Are they vegan?" And the person said no, and she said, "I don't want them." And she was about 4 years old at the time. So I sometimes hear people with kind of younger children, they're saying, "Oh, how do I explain it to them?" I think from my own experience, my kids did actually get the concept quite early on. My son was 2, my daughter was 4, and I kind of explained to them at the time, this is what we're doing. We don't eat animals because we don't want to harm them, we don't want to kill them, and to have meat we have to kill the animals. And I left it just that simple. I didn't have to go into any of the graphic or gory details or show them videos of anything horrific that would scare a 2 or a 4-year-old. I just kept it quite simple, and actually my children were like, "Oh, well, I don't want to kill animals either, mummy." So it was totally fine. They totally came on board with it. And I think having that relationship and not kind of saying to them, "Oh, we're going to be vegan and this is how it's going to be," I kind of explained it to them. I let them make their own choices, although I was fairly confident that they would come to the similar choices as myself, and they did. And I think that is definitely the key going forward. I don't think technically, there are some things that we literally can't force our children to do. We can't force them to go to sleep, we can't force them to use the toilet, and we can't force feed them. Those are all things that actually we as individuals, humans, have our own choices and our own rights with. So it is important to be able to get those children on board. And if they're not on board, it's going to become a lot more challenging, and there's going to be conflicts. And I think one of the main worries that I had, certainly, was if I was going to kind of do this very much like authoritarian, you must follow exactly what I say kind of theory, even though I desperately wanted my children to also follow a vegan diet because I knew it'd be better for their health. I knew it'd be better. It was to actually kind of allow them this sense of choice. But an informed and an educated choice, something that they were then able to make and be informed about and be aware of. And I think that was really important for our journey as a family into veganism, is having them on board as much as possible. Obviously, if your children are like much younger, before even kind of comprehension stage, babies, 1, 2-year-olds, then you can make that decision for them. And then, I think as they get older, you can explain to them your reasons for veganism. I think once they're kind of in that conscious stage as a young child, I think you can guide them in a sensible way, and show them guidance and lead by example, and tell them benefits of veganism, tell them why you're doing it. And deep down at heart, most children that I've spoken to, they don't want to kill animals. So it's quite an easy sell for most children, in my experience. And sometimes it's often the other way around. The child wants to go vegan and the parent doesn't. I've also experienced quite a lot of that. So, allow your children that choice, I think, is important, so that they are then on board. And later on, it was a worry of mine that, if I did force this idea onto them, if we can call it forcing, that they might one day want to rebel or feel that I was somehow being unfair. So it was really important to me that we were all on board this journey together. And I was fairly confident that my children, they're intelligent beings, that they would come to the same conclusions that I had, that eating animals was wrong. And they did. So, you know, that was all fine. And I think, you know, it can, like I say, it can be harder for a child, particularly if there's something that they really like and they really want. And, or, you know, maybe they're teenagers and they're different from their peers and they don't want to be the odd one out and don't want to be isolated. There are lots of reasons why a child, and I think it's really important to sit down with your child, to be really honest with them, to have that conversation, to find out what the concerns they might have, and to come to a solution that's going to work for both of you. I really believe in kind of gentle parenting and coming to these decisions with our own children. I think that's really super important. If you've got any questions, any comments, concerns, you'll probably find that lots of other parents have had similar issues. Come and join us in our community group, get chatting to other parents. It's one of the ways, being part of this community that I've created with Vegan Kids is really important and really supportive. And when you do have problems, that's what we're there for. So hopefully that helped today get some ideas as to how to get those children on board with you. And we will see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye bye.